The rain clung to the stone windows of the Thorne estate like a bitter memory refusing to be washed away. In the belly of the marble mansion, past cold hallways and censor-lined doors, Ivy Rowan moved like a whisper. Her shoes were too big, her coat threadbare, and her belly loud. The kitchen loomed ahead, a cathedral of stainless steel and polished stone. For a child, it looked like a museum of things never meant to be touched. But Ivy saw one thing that wasn't bolted down. A chipped ceramic bowl near the edge of the sink, filled with something golden and soft, mac and cheese, cold but real. She climbed up on a stool, fingers trembling. She didn't care that it was cold. Hunger had no manners. But the silence broke. Footsteps. Slow. Heavy. Not the hurried shuffle of staff. Something deeper. Commanding. She froze. The bowl clattered. She dropped behind the massive freezer, heart hammering. Silas Thorne entered the kitchen without a word, his presence colder than the room. He paused, listened. Then he heard it, a rustle, a breath held too long. He stepped toward the sound and found her. She was small, her hair damp, cheeks flushed with fear, mac and cheese smeared on her hand. She blinked up at him and said, "Grandma Marion used to say no food should go to waste." His breath caught. "What did you just say?" he asked, his voice low, dangerous. Ivy shrank. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean." "Who is your mother?" His tone sliced through the space between them. The girl didn't answer, just clutched the bowl tighter. "Have you ever been caught doing something you weren't proud of, just to survive?" The intercom buzzed. "There's a problem in the kitchen." Harper Wade's voice snapped through. Mabel Rowan dropped the gardening shears. Her hands were still gloved, her coat soaked through. She hadn't planned to enter the house. Not like this. By the time she reached the back door, her heart was drumming louder than the thunder. She ignored the guard's glare and pushed through. She stepped into the kitchen and stopped short. Her daughter stood there, shoulders hunched, lips trembling. Across from her stood Silas Thorne, a ghost wrapped in tailored wool. "She's mine," Mabel said, not loud, not weak. Just true. Silas didn't move. Then a sound from the stairs. Elise Thorne Lambert, as elegant as she was venomous, descended slowly, sipping tea like the villain in a play with perfect timing. She surveyed the scene, then tossed her silk scarf onto the table like a gauntlet. "If she stays, I leave." No one spoke. Mabel didn't flinch, didn't bow. "Then maybe you should start packing." "Would you stand your ground if the person who ruined your life held the keys to your child's future?" The library hadn't changed. Still too dark, too cold, too full of portraits that stared down in judgment. Elise had called a meeting. Jonas Hale appeared on a screen from his office in Manhattan, clearly annoyed but too polite to say it. Elise took center stage. "We need to address the elephant in the room." Mabel sat at the far end. Ivy curled in her lap. She said nothing. Elise continued. "You all know why she left. Why she was asked to leave. She disgraced us. Now she's back? With a child." Mabel still didn't speak. Silas rubbed his temple. "Elise, this isn't the time." "No, father, it is exactly the time. The media will smell this. A bastard child. A scandal." Mabel looked down at Ivy's hand in hers, then up. "My daughter deserves better than silence." Jonas cleared his throat. "Legally, nothing changes. The child is not recognized. Not unless." Silas stood. "Enough." Everyone stopped. Everyone out, except Mabel. Elise fumed but obeyed. gathering her robe and ego. Mabel stood slowly, Ivy still clinging to her. "You lost a daughter," she said. "You can decide if you want a granddaughter too. Have you ever returned to a place that hurt you? Not for yourself, but for someone you love?" Later, in the study, Silas watched the footage again. Ivy, huddled, clutching that old ceramic bowl. He paused the video on a detail he hadn't noticed before: her bracelet. A charm. The same one Marion gave Mabel on her 10th birthday. He closed the laptop. Outside, Mabel walked Ivy to the car, her coat still damp. Ivy looked up at her. "Is he really Grandpa?" Mabel hesitated. He was. Maybe he still can be. As she reached the gate, the intercom buzzed again. Harper's voice. "Mr. Thorne would like you both to stay. Temporarily." Morning sunlight filtered weakly through the frosted windows of the Thorne estate, but no warmth came with it. Ivy sat up in the unfamiliar bed, her small frame dwarfed by plush covers and mahogany posts. The room was silent, too silent for comfort. Her first thought wasn't of breakfast, it was of her mother. She padded barefoot into the hall, the cold marble biting into her soles. A soft click behind her made her jump. "Good morning, Ivy," said Harper Wade with a practiced smile. Her heels tapped lightly against the floor as she approached. "Did your mother tell you not to touch anything?" Ivy frowned, unsure how to respond. "She didn't say anything like that," she whispered. Harper crouched slightly, her tone honeyed. "Children often remember more than they think." Before Ivy could answer, Mabel appeared at the end of the corridor, damp hair tied back, a linen shirt tucked neatly into old jeans. "She's just a child," Mabel said firmly. "Don't manipulate her." Harper stood, hands clasped. "I wasn't. Just talking. Children see more than we think." Above them, Elise leaned casually on the railing of the landing, her robe flowing like a queen surveying her court. Her eyes narrowed at the reunion below. Mabel kneeled before Ivy, brushing a strand of hair back. "Don't worry, sweet pea. No matter what anyone says today, I'm not afraid anymore. Have you ever had to act calm while protecting your child from invisible danger?" The sunroom was full of light, but thick with old tension. Silas stood stiffly, facing Elise, who paced like a prosecuting attorney. "Mabel left on her own," Elise said sharply. "We didn't drive her out. She chose that path." Silas remained quiet, his fingers tracing the edge of Marion's necklace, now resting in his palm. His gaze turned toward the military pin, tucked into his coat pocket. "That necklace," he muttered. "Marion wore it the day she—" "It went missing long before Mabel left." Elise cut in, her tone frosty. "Funny it shows up now." Mabel, passing the room, caught her name and paused. Her breath hitched when she heard Elise mention drugs. She closed her eyes, fury laced with restraint. But she didn't step in, not yet. Later, Dr. Rowan Ellis arrived, briefcase in hand. He greeted Mabel with a warm nod, then turned to Silas. "I'd like permission to test the necklace," he said. "It may hold traces, fingerprints, skin oil." Silas hesitated, then handed it over. "Would you defend your truth, even if the evidence could destroy your reputation?" Downstairs, Ivy wandered again, this time toward the kitchen. She peeked into a gleaming corridor and pushed open a heavy metal door. Curiosity led her inside the walk-in freezer. The door swung shut with a soft thud. Darkness. A hum of cold. She turned, pushed. Nothing. It wouldn't budge. She knocked lightly, then harder. "Mom." No answer. She sank to the floor, her breath visible in the cold, the concrete chilling her legs. Mom. Upstairs, Elise laughed softly with a business guest, pouring wine and discussing board seats as though the house weren't hiding secrets in every hallway. Mabel checked her watch. Ivy hadn't returned from the bathroom. She searched the hallway, her voice rising. Ivy. No one responded. Panic licked at her throat. She grabbed a housemaid. Have you seen my daughter? Silas, in his study, flicked through security feeds absently, then froze. One screen showed a small figure curled up inside the walk-in freezer. He bolted from the chair, knocking over the decanter. Harper, he roared. Kitchen. Now. He stormed into the kitchen, staff scrambling in his wake. Mabel followed, breathless. Harper stood there, feigning confusion. She must have wandered. You locked her in. Silas bellowed. You could have killed her. What would you do if someone hurt your child and pretended it was an accident? That evening, the necklace lay under a small lab light in Dr. Ellis's mobile kit. He nodded. Skin oils from both Marion and Mabel, consistent with long-term wear. Silas sat silently in his study, pin and necklace before him. He replayed the video, again, Ivy shaking, whispering, Mom, into the dark. Elise entered, voice syrupy. Harper's upset. It was just a mistake. You don't forgive mistakes that almost freeze children to death. Elise blinked. You're overreacting. Mabel stepped into the doorway. No, he isn't. And you know it. She walked in, her spine straight, her voice quiet but strong. You buried the truth, Elise. But Ivy brought it back, one breadcrumb at a time. Silas looked between them. When the mask finally slipped, I wasn't sure if my father would see the real monster or protect her. The morning sun glinted off the black gates of the Thorne estate, where camera flashes sparked like fireflies. The mansion's marble face gleamed, pretending purity it no longer owned. Inside, tension rippled beneath the perfume and champagne. The charity gala was supposed to celebrate legacy. Instead, it would bury it. Elise Thorne Lambert's heels clicked against the marble as she crossed the foyer, her phone buzzing. When she saw the name on the notification, Superior Court of Connecticut, her smile faltered. The envelope was thin, but heavy with consequence. Mabel had filed a lawsuit for defamation and inheritance interference. Jonas Hale, the family's longtime attorney, now represented Mabel. Elise slammed the document onto Silas's desk. She's suing us? For what truth? Silas didn't look up. For dignity, he said quietly. She's a street rat in silk, Elise hissed. You think that woman deserves our name? Our money? Silas's fingers trembled over Marion's necklace, its chain coiled like guilt. He didn't answer. Mabel, upstairs, zipped her simple black dress. Ivy helped, her tiny hand steady. You'll win, Mom, she said. You already did when you stayed. Have you ever had to fight people who knew your truth, but still chose silence? By late afternoon, the estate buzzed with lights, laughter, and hypocrisy. Elise's charity gala was her battlefield, her dress, her armor. Reporters gathered by the steps, microphones poised. Donors whispered about the family scandal, feeding off gossip like wine. Elise played her part perfectly. Tonight, she announced to the crowd, we honor those who dedicate their lives to truth and service. Minutes later, a series of leaked messages appeared online. Fabricated screenshots showing Mabel supposedly blackmailing Silas for money. Elise smiled as the whispers spread through the ballroom. Mabel arrived quietly, escorted by Dr. Ellis and Jonas Hale. She ignored the murmurs, her calm sharper than anger. "Let them talk," she said. "I'll let the evidence speak." Harper Wade hovered near the bar, her nerves betraying her polished posture. Elise had gone too far, and Harper knew it. Ivy clung to her mother's hand, then whispered to Jonas, "Miss Harper said last night that Mommy would regret staying. Does that mean she's in trouble?" Jonas's face hardened. "No, sweetheart, but someone else might be." "Do you believe silence is sometimes the loudest protest?" Later that evening, Silas Thorne stepped onto the grand stage beneath chandeliers that once symbolized family triumph. Now, they felt like interrogation lights. The audience rose to their feet, cameras flashing. Elise stood beside him, her smile ablaze. He adjusted his tie and began to read the statement she'd prepared. "It is with regret that I—" He stopped. Every word felt like lead. He looked out at the crowd, at Ivy's anxious eyes, at Mabel's quiet strength. His voice broke through the hush. "I've spent a lifetime building walls high enough to keep out shame," he said slowly. "But walls don't protect you. They just keep you from seeing who's still trying to reach you." Murmurs rippled through the audience. Elise stiffened, whispering, "Read the script." Silas ignored her. "I failed my daughter. Not once, but for decades." He lifted Marion's necklace into the light. "This belonged to my wife, the only person who ever saw through me. Tonight I honor her, and the family she would have wanted. My daughter, Mabel Rowan. My granddaughter, Ivy." Gasps filled the hall. Elise's expression cracked, her control slipping. She turned sharply and stormed off stage. Harper followed, head bowed, but for the first time, she didn't defend her employer. What does redemption look like when it comes too late, but still matters? The crowd dispersed, the music died, and the grand chandelier dimmed to a quiet glow. Mabel found Elise alone in the corridor, mascara streaking her cheeks, the once impeccable robe crumpled in defeat. "You came to gloat." Elise's voice was sharp but thin. Mabel shook her head. "No, I came to tell you something." Elise scoffed. "Save your saint act." "You didn't lose to me," Mabel said softly. "You lost to the truth." For a moment, Elise's composure fractured. Her lips trembled, her eyes darted away. She didn't take the offered hand, but she didn't sweat it away either. From down the hall, Silas watched the exchange. For the first time in years, his face softened, not with pride but with peace. Outside, Ivy ran to her mother, arms wide. "Can we go home now?" Mabel smiled, holding her close. "We already are." But the story doesn't end when the mansion grows quiet. It begins again, wherever the heart dares to rebuild.